Hello, my name is Michelle Chapman. I'm a stress and leadership coach for the Elite Partnership. And I've come outside on this glorious sunny day to tell you a little bit about how stress affects the body and also affects performance at work. So everybody experiences stress from time to time. And it's important to know that stress in itself isn't actually a bad thing. The sympathetic nervous system, or the stressed state, is a completely normal and natural function of the body, okay? And what it's there to do is to have us take quick action to keep us safe when we perceive ourselves to be under threat. So it's to protect our bodies and to protect our species, really. When there's no perceived threat, our body functions with using the parasympathetic nervous system, which is when our bodies are calm, relaxed and balanced and just generally functioning normally. So consider for a moment a pre-industrial, very simple lifestyle. Think of maybe rural India today. People would be going about their day-to-day, managing their farms or their homes, tending to animals, harvesting food that they've grown, and the body would be calm and balanced, which means that there is adequate blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that we use for logical, rational, analytical thought. It's the place where we make our decisions. But what happens if that villager suddenly spots a tiger? The sympathetic nervous system would kick in automatically and instantaneously, and blood flow to the prefrontal cortex would immediately be diverted to the amygdala. And the amygdala is the part of our brain that keeps us safe, as we've said. So what that does is it has us take immediate action. So that's the fight, flight or freeze response. So this is completely normal. This is how the body is supposed to work. We're either calm, balanced and relaxed and making, good, balanced, logical decisions, or something happens, blood flow diverts to the amygdala and we need to take action, fight, flight or freeze. That's completely normal, how our bodies are supposed to work. So let's consider the modern day lifestyle. If you consider that as human beings, we've been on this planet for around 200,000 years. In the last few decades, we have completely transformed our lifestyle. So in evolutionary terms, that's like the blink of an eyelid. If you look at a general kind of day-to-day lifestyle for many people, the alarm goes off in the morning. Half the time it will be mid-sleep cycle, so it won't be actually a natural time for the body to wake up. We rush around. If we've got children, we have got to get them up and get them to school. A lot of those haven't developed their prefrontal cortexes fully yet, so they're like little emotional beings running around. They make us late, so we're getting stressed. We get in the car, get stuck in traffic. You might be worried that you'll miss the early morning meeting, so stress levels continue to rise. If you get to take the train to work, that may or may not arrive on time. If it does, you might not even get a seat. On the tube, you'll squeeze yourself onto a packed out train, spend half your journey with your face in somebody's armpit. You get to work, the data that you needed for the early morning meeting isn't there, so you've got to chase that. Meanwhile, stress levels haven't yet balanced out from the journey in, continue to rise. Depending on your job, some people have to deal with customers or clients screaming and shouting on the phone. Co-workers demanding action on things that you may or may not have the solution to. Job security isn't really as it was. Maybe the business isn't doing as well as it used to or as it should be. So all of the time, all of these situations, you might not have the same examples as the ones that I've used. But as far as the body is concerned, each of those things is like a little tiger to respond to. Not to the same extent as, a threat, a life threat, but our brains respond to danger in the same way, So that's not really helpful when you're trying to think rationally in a board meeting, when you're feeling very stressed, It actually prohibits and prevents good brain functioning and prevents good performance. But there's something really important here. The chemicals in the blood flow respond in our brain to the perception of a situation, not the reality of the situation. An Indian villager isn't going to react to a tiger that they don't know is there. Okay, so this is about perceptions we're dealing with, not reality. So if we feel or we perceive ourselves to be in control of the situation, our body doesn't apply this stress response. In the workplace, if we feel that we have no control over the situation, if we don't have a perceived, or if we have a perceived threat, the prefrontal cortex will respond accordingly. But if we do feel we've got control over the situation, okay, and we don't perceive that threat, the prefrontal cortex will continue to function exactly as it should. Okay, and we can continue to think clearly, we can continue to make good decisions. And this is important because it means that we have the power to address stress levels without needing to change the outside situation. Now, we might want to change the outside situation, which is perfectly fine, but we have choice. And the more that we see through what is our thinking and our perceptions and understand where our experiences are really coming from, the more mental and emotional freedom we have to live without unnecessary stress in our lives.